The First Ghost, a novel of God's Legion, by J.T. Dowdy. Chapter 3. Should you join the Legion, which I sincerely hope you will do in the future, you will find unrivaled freedom. You are free to pursue your hopes and dreams so long as they do not affect others. Our tax may be paid with a minuscule portion of your labors or your time. The tax is not because I really need anything from you. It is more in the line of civic duty for the common good, and to build unity. If you are not currently, you may be armed as you wish, and it is the law that you do so. You may pursue your businesses as you wish. I only ask you, do not poison the Latins should you be on planetary bodies, because all life is precious to me, as it came from me. To some of you this sounds too good, that I am holding something dangerous over your head, or that there is some cataclysmic catch to this deal. I tell you truthfully, there is not. If you find you do not wish to stay, you will be free to leave unmolested and go wherever you wish. But I must warn you of something should you take my offer. The sentients who help me run my nation are not flesh and blood. Neither are they wholly machine. They think at light speed because of their nature, while being hooked into every digital machine. They cannot help it. They will watch everything you do. Sometimes they go too far, but contrary to what you will wish to believe, they do not report everything like some of your own digital police states. They are not the police, though they assist them in their duty. They are not lawyers, though they also assist. They will watch everything you do, but they have been ordered by me to keep their noses out of your affairs unless you are doing something which any reasonable person would argue goes against the common interest or threatens public order. Many of you will not believe those words, and this is understandable. Should you feel you have been maligned by them, you bring the matter to my attention personally, and by my word, I shall look into the matter and render a legal judgment. A portion of a speech given to every new populace which joins the Legion. The apartments on Mule House and 8th Street were rather nice, just not opulent. The locals' personal ground or air cars were equally middle to upper middle class. Lawns and trees were manicured as of last week, and there were the sounds of many people having a cookout in the back of the building to subdued music, while a few couples were in the front playing with their children and pets. It was the picturesque image of a tranquil suburban life. Tila had stopped after getting out of their air car as she pretended to adjust her outfit, which blended in perfectly with the locals. Amaranthine stopped and asked, "Something wrong?" "No," the red-haired woman said, clenching one of her gloved hands as her other toyed with the leather cuff on her wrist. "It's just, in a perfect universe, this is what the Master wishes for all of us, the ability to just live and be at peace with their family." The ghost looked to a family playing catch with their young son, who had issues throwing the ball back. The small boy was putting everything he had into it, while his parents cheered him on. She understood exactly what the other woman meant. It would be nice, except we do not live in a perfect universe. The ghost did not add what she was thinking, because it was obvious based on the woman's expression Tila wanted a family of her own. So had Amaranthine, hence why she had gotten married, since if she had become pregnant, she could have taken a desk job and been home to raise her children. Alas, the universe does not give everything a person wanted. If it had, then her job would never have been needed in the first place. "Room 312, right?" she asked. Tila grunted in acknowledgement, her eyes fixed on the family, as if her one wish was hidden behind a single pane of glass she could never reach through. She once again cursed her fate long ago. In her panic, when a hand reached into the mound of dead bodies she had been hiding in to save her, she accidentally fed from the one who was trying to help. Now, she was just as cursed as the Legion Master was, in that she could never die. The ancient creator had offered to grant her wish of children, but once she was informed her children would likely be afflicted with her curse when it came to physical contact, the woman vowed to never willingly afflict someone else with her living torment. An ancient hovercar, with perfectly proportioned, stylish lines, smoothly pulled up to the curb the two women were standing at with its windows down. Inside, the driver was Police Legate Smythe in civilian clothing, which made him look more like a beach-going playboy than a cop. His short pompadour turned to look at the two women, and he lowered his sunglasses theatrically while adjusting the toothpick in the right corner of his mouth. "May I be of assistance with anything, ladies?" he asked. "I also offer free rides in my sabre to wherever your heart may desire." He was so holodrama cloying, it made Amaranthine gag. Tila's eyes sparkled, then narrowed suspiciously as she asked, "And just what would the great police detective, Richard Smythe, be doing in a place like this?" The legate's fake act dropped. "The master gave me a crap ton of vacation hours and suggested rather pointedly that I come help you." The dramatic persona came back with aplomb as he produced a folding comb from somewhere to run through his already immaculate hair. "As to why such beautiful ladies such as yourselves could ever need this much masculinity in your lives at this very moment, well, I leave that to your imaginations. But honestly, I have no clue why he told me to drop everything and, I quote, 'get your ass over there right now if you ever want to retire at a decent age.' And so, considering I am not an idiot when someone is holding a gun to my head, I got here as fast as I could. How can I help?" "We will meet you in the parking lot," Tila said, walking away to ignore him and deny the man the pleasure of whatever he thought his entrance would be worth. As the car pulled away to turn off of the road and into the apartment's parking lot, Amaranthine shook her head in amazement and asked, "Is he serious with that get-up? I bet he has the white pants and shoes to go with that floral shirt, white jacket and gold chain." "He has many such outfits for various occasions," Tila replied cryptically. "Do not let him fool you. He is one of the best detectives I have ever met, and that's saying something considering my age. His joke about retirement was made to make you believe he was burnt out and disinterested. So, what? He would rather be on a wild goose chase than finishing that homicide investigation the other night?" Tila snorted. "He claims serial murderers and planetary invasions are boring, so yes, he would rather have a mystery he can't solve. Don't let on, I told you, but he is a mortal angel. He has done this job for many times, many billions of yours on the countless capitals of the Legion. He is the chief of police for a reason. The master trusts him implicitly, and so do I. Though I would never tell Smythe that to his face. His head would get so big it would explode and splatter everyone in half a mile with pomade." After the two women crossed the street, Amaranthine asked, "I can't really say I have ever met a mortal angel, only the big ones. Are they any different, or is what they say about them on the net really all there is to it?" "Nope, it really is that simple. They are just like you, except they will never age." The walk across the parking lot took only a few minutes. The ghost took those minutes to observe the figure of the police legate leaning on the back of his car. He was smoking a cigarette in the same casual manner the people on the commercials always did. He looked the epitome of cool and relaxed, like a man who was going to the club to pick up women, and he just knew several would leave with him. The collar of his shirt was unbuttoned to show off just the right amount of chest hair to be accented by a slender golden chain with a small circular medallion. His white outfit, minus the floral shirt, was immaculate and pressed. He looked and acted exactly as his persona claimed he should be, and the ghost was forced to admit, if this was an act, it was a damned good one. "Well," the man said, tossing his smoke to the ground to grind it underneath his black-capped white wingtip. "Teela I know from decades past, but you now, little miss." He paused to make a show of looking Amaranthine up and down. "Who might you be?" "Amaranthine Chu," the ghost said. "Richard," the man said, looking past the woman to a group of people walking their pair of large quadrupeds. "What exactly are we doing here?" Teela cut in. "The Brahmanavarta ambassador met with someone going by the moniker Mr. August in room 312. It is suspected he is an outside agent working with, well, we do not really know for sure as of yet. Since this is the only thread we have, we thought we would pull on it to see where it leads." "Simple as," Smythe grunted. "Let's get started." The group passed several families doing various leisure activities, which all turned to regard the man in the white suit and the fancy hair, yet ultimately paid the two women no mind as they were dressed in more forgettable clothing. As the trio was about to make it to the door of room 312, Amaranthine said, "The master told me to watch the doors. Wonder what kind of surprise is waiting for us." "We live in an armed society, so take your pick," Smythe replied, reaching into his jacket pocket to toss a few seemingly random coins of various denominations on the floor. The coins were made of nanites and quickly extruded legs to crawl their way to, and then under the front doors, weather seal and scurry around the apartment. After a few moments, they communicated with whatever implants the legate had installed in his brain. "Well now," he said casually, "an MX-32 Claymore, a sentry gun, multiple incendiaries. Ooh, a white phosphorus whirly bird on the ceiling. Looks normal enough to me for a Legion apartment." The tiny machines disengaged the locks and deactivated the emplaced booby traps, and the policeman opened the door while standing to the side. Nothing happened, and he seemed unconcerned as he held out a hand for the two women to wait while he sauntered in. "I killed the surveillance cameras," he called out. "Come on in and make yourselves at home." Amaranthine stepped into the apartment first, and immediately noticed there was anti-personnel mines pointed at the front door, and several others pointed at the windows, and walls leading to the back door and balcony. There were so many weapons in the room meant to blast an intruder to kingdom come, it made the ghost pause before taking another step as the spot between her shoulder blades began to itch. Excluding the death machines, the apartment looked spotless and well kept, except for being a bit too sterile to show anyone had actually lived there, besides a compulsive neat freak. "Interesting," the legate remarked, his eyes flickering back and forth as he looked at text in a virtual field. "This apartment is leased to a Shubai Arasoa, but building records show he has not been here for many months. Planetary records show he is a registered engineer with Toyama Heavy Industries. Yup, and he has received bi-weekly payments to the bank account he opened up 7 years ago with the Legion National Bank. He is divorced, 2 estranged kids he never talks to, and he is basically a loner from what I can see. No complaints from apartment staff or his neighbors. Ah, here it is. I have a death certificate from Hansen & Sons Funeral Home for a Shubai Arasoa on Marbella Station in the Golsun system. Seems he died from a heart attack 3 months ago while conducting business in public. How very convenient of him. Who was playing his part when our dead guy came back to visit his apartment not that long ago?" Teela asked. "Someone who looks the same as the vids we have on record. Gait pattern and height are wrong from the theoretical real Mr. Arasoa." the small bots began scurrying over the furniture and table where the imposter had sat down and touched things. "Give me a moment. I'm going to see if there is any biological data on record for our mystery man." Tila turned to Amaranthine and stuck out her tongue. "Told you he was good." The ghost nodded, then looked to one of the mines and said, "These are a dead giveaway. Something is not what it seems. Why have them here in the first place?" The legate gave her a long look. "For the same reasons you had one in your hotel room. Come on, don't look at me like that. People filed complaints when one of you started blasting holes in the walls of the second-to-last room y'all stayed in. I had some of my boys check the complaint out, and they got nagged at by Marana, who told them to go do some real work. Naturally, because I am so awesome at my job and not overworked in any way, shape, or form, I got curious and looked into it. He is good." Amaranthine was forced to agree. "Contrary to popular belief, I do work from time to time, instead of sitting in my office playing games and pooping on company time. Crap. No dice. Whoever was playing Mr. Arasoa does not have the same DNA, nor are they in any database I have access to." Smythe's tone became mocking, "Which is literally all of them." Amaranthine began rummaging around the house, since the bots had already catalogued everything, so her disturbance of evidence would not matter. She opened the refrigerator to find absolutely nothing. She began going to the other various places, which should have some form of personal touch, even if a person was a compulsive neat freak. The bathroom was sterile and unused. A single roll of toilet paper sat on the holder, jutting from the wall. It was even facing the right and correct way. One single toothbrush sat in its holder, next to a vertically standing tube of toothpaste. The deodorant was perfectly in line with what few other hygiene products were in the room. A hand towel and body towel were neatly folded on their racks with almost military precision. The bedroom was also a fine example of a hollow prop set, ordered down to the last fibre. She came back to the living room to find Smythe staring at the holoprojector on the wall with a quizzical eye. She looked at it and saw nothing out of the ordinary. "Something wrong?" she asked. "Maybe," he replied, his tone skeptical. He gestured to the couch for the woman to sit on, which the ghost did not do. "For sake of argument, picture yourself a loner, since your family disowned you. Or you are just used to being on your own, traveling the universe. You seem to be a neat freak who wishes everything to have its right place. Whether it is because you are obsessive-compulsive or because it is the one thing you can control, but it really does not matter. The bottom line is everything must have its place, right? If you were the person I just described, where would you sit on the couch?" Amaranthine was about to say in the middle because she liked to sit crossed-legged, like a lot of women. Then she saw one side of the leather triple-seater was more wrinkled than the other, seemingly indicating that side was used more frequently. Smythe flipped on the holoprojector, which immediately turned on to the local news. He left it running and asked, "What do you see?" The ghost looked around the room, missing his point. "Just tell me what you are getting at." "You are Shubai Arasoa, traveling salesman for a company that prides itself for always being on time and having everything laid out for prospective buyers before the meeting ever starts. You come from a culture that values public order above all, and you seem to have taken that order into your personal life. You were probably in the military, and their military takes good order to ludicrous extremes. What do you see now?" Again, Amaranthine looked around and missed the point. Smythe sighed and pointed at the holoprojector while speaking slowly. "Why is the projector not centered on the wall? The couch and table are centered to the room. All three things should be in a line if you are as OCD as the rest of this apartment." Amaranthine looked down at the coffee table, which, in her actual apartment, halfway across this universe, would have been overflowing with mounds of junk and mail. This one had 3 coasters arranged equidistant from each other for the 3-seater couch. She moved to stand at the cushion, which was more wrinkled, and looked to the hollow projector. She had to turn her head more than she should have if the projection was truly centered. She had paid the small detail no mind, as her living spaces were generally more cluttered and disorganized, because she preferred the nest approach to making a home. "Gotcha," she said slowly, agreeing the man's logic had merit. The legate continued. "Mr. Arasoa never lived her for all of these years. He couldn't have, because this would have driven him insane. There are no books, games, or any other entertainment devices of any kind. If someone was living here, this projector would have been their only comfort, and based on the rest of the apartment, I don't think the real Arasoa would have let this slide. Someone has clearly spent a lot of time on that side of the couch," Tila observed. "That fake leather would take a butt print the first time anyone sat on it. We have the same couch back at the station, and it's horrible to sleep on after pulling an all-nighter. Anyway, I found the original security footage from when he moved in, and the only other people who have been in here besides the fake Arasoa were the furniture movers from Frank's department store, farther down 8th Street. Shortly after, he went off-world and has only returned 5 times in the last 7 years. I asked Morana to help look at footage to see if we can spot where he went, and maybe find out why." Since the police legate had pointed it out, Amaranthine was now staring at the spot where the hollow projector should have been. It was so obvious it was glaring like a beacon. With a frustrated grunt, she walked over to the wall and tapped on it, looking for secret hiding spots like some trashy detective holodrama. To her surprise, the wall did in fact give off a sound which told everyone there was a small, hollow area behind the cheap painted boarding. Her implants told her there was nothing giving off electronic signals, and there was no obvious mechanism to open the secret compartment. She stood up and put her titanium-toed boot through the cheap contractor-grade boards. She found a small box which everyone had in their homes to store valuable papers. The legate's eyes narrowed suspiciously as he looked to Tila and asked, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Without missing a beat, Tila fired back with, "That your pompadour kind of looks like a penis growing out of your forehead." Smythe's hands flew protectively to his perfect hair. "How could you say such a hurtful thing?" "Just look at it," the woman argued, moving side to side as if the change in vantage gave the matter more clarity. "You need more product. The tip wobbles around a bit." Amaranthine fell over sideways from where she was still sitting on the ground to laugh like a third grader who heard a fart joke. The tension in the apartment had been so oppressive because the trio was wholly absorbed in their work while sitting among some very deadly hardware. Tila, being who she was at the right time, helped. The succubus looked down to the laughing ghost and winked. Smythe stormed over and snatched the lockbox from the floor to bring it to the bar in the kitchenette. He was grumbling about being stuck with adolescence as he examined the box. It was a hyperlock model 3152, very expensive since it was sealed against vacuum, fire, water, and even bullet-resistant up to certain calibers and velocities. He let the box fall to the counter with a sigh. "Great, I need to go back to my car to get my picks. Why can't people just buy cheap Empire, made garbage I can open with a butter knife?" He threw his hands up in the air. "Oh, because that would make my job easier." "Oh," Tila said, moving towards the object. "Is the great detective foiled by a little old box he found?" "No," the man complained. "I just need the right tools, which I totally have about my person and don't need to make a trip to the station for." The red-haired woman picked up the lockbox to examine it from all sides. She then braced it against her stomach and hauled on the sides of the explosion-resistant lid to pop it open like a shellfish. Something broke with a crystalline snapping sound, and the locking mechanism flew across the kitchenette to bounce off of the refrigerator. She put the box on the counter, as Smythe made sure he stayed an arm's reach away from her, now that the woman was near him because he knew what she was. Tila seemed offended and argued. "I'm wearing gloves." The man hooked a finger in the now open lockbox to pull it closer to him as he glared at the succubus. "Right, 'cause that makes me feel so much safer around you. Dream on, pretty boy. I would never want your hair gel all over any of my nice pillowcases." "Okay, kids," Amaranthine cut in, looking inside the box and finding herself falling into the easy banter of people who had spent lifetimes working together. "Both of you pull the claws back, or no dinner for... Oh my God. What the hell is that?" Smythe looked into the box his finger was resting on, then withdrew his finger as fast as a striking snake as there was a small, fleshy tendril coming towards his digit. The tendril was coming from a pulsing mass of pasty white flesh. Tila slammed the box closed, picked up Amaranthine as if she weighed nothing, and ran out of the apartment towards the parking lot with the legate hot on her heels. Tila was shouting, knowing a speaker somewhere would pick up her voice because Morana was always listening. "Morana, order a full quarantine and get these people out of here." Smythe was yelling as well, which his communications implant picked up and transmitted to the appropriate people. Emergency sirens began cutting loose with 3 sharp blasts, followed by a calm female voice instructing people to evacuate in a 1-mile area due to a biological contagion. The broadcast began repeating. People's communication devices, both physical and implanted, began explaining the need for urgency and where people should go once they passed the 1-mile safety cordon.